eat some chocolate chip.
Yeah, that's
To see compromise and common ground on that?
On a commission? I think it's been... I can't imagine anyone voting against the establishment of a commission on the greatest assault since the Civil War on the Capitol. But at any rate, I came for ice cream.
Normal reaction there from President Biden expressing his disbelief that Republican lawmakers, many of them firsthand eyewitnesses to the violence of the insurrection, are at the precipice of opposing a bill that would create a 9/11-style commission to investigate the January 6th attack on their offices, basically. We're expecting the United States Senate to vote to advance the bill to have a vote on that bill. Republicans in the Senate gearing up to obstruct the legislation and prevent the commission from ever being formed. We're joined now by Senator Angus King, an independent from Maine. Senator King, we have spoken at a lot of moments where all seemed lost with the Republicans, and you were always really blunt, but you held out hope at different junctures of the two impeachment trials that some Republicans would do the right thing. And indeed, Mitt Romney and then a few others in the second did. What is your feeling now?
Well, the first thing, this is a really fascinating moment, Nicolle, because right now, literally within probably, hopefully, the hour, we're going to pass on a bipartisan basis a really substantial piece of legislation involving the competitiveness with China that involves support for research, support for bringing the chip industry home to this country. I mean, this is a major bill that's been bipartisan from the start, and we're about to pass it. I don't know, I don't want to predict the vote, but I'm sure it's going to be a very substantial margin. And then probably a half hour later, we're going to have a party line vote on the commission idea. So it's a very sort of schizophrenic moment. And I was thinking about it today, and I think the difference is that the bill we're talking about this afternoon doesn't have Joe Biden's name on it, and it doesn't involve Donald Trump. That means we can do our jobs. But if it's got Joe Biden's name on it, or if it involves Donald Trump, then, all the brakes go on. So, it's a very, very odd moment. But as the president said, how do you vote against an independent, nonpartisan commission to try to get at the facts of one of the most serious attacks on our country, on our democratic system in our history? It's, I share his incredulity. I don't have an ice cream cone but other than that, it's a very strange moment.
I mean, I looked at you're right. I mean, there is this stark contrast. And I looked at the Republicans' support for the legislation you're talking about as a security consideration for them. But I think it makes it an even graver indictment that they don't care about the security of the homeland. And what do you make? How do you protect the homeland from what Christopher Wray, Donald Trump's handpicked director of the FBI, describes as the gravest threat to the American homeland, domestic violent extremists agitated and fueled by this big lie? How do you protect the country from that if the other party refuses to see it that way?
Well, that's the question. And Nicolle, there was really a stunning and it's a kind of hilarious moment last night. I was sitting in my office waiting for the votes to resume, and Josh Hawley takes the floor. And I hear out of the corner of my eye, I'm reading something. He's talking about investigation, and the American people deserve the truth, and the facts are what we need to get. And I thought, wow, he's come around on this. And then I heard, no, he's talking about an investigation as to what happened, where the flu came from, and whether it came out of a lab in Wuhan. Oh. So, he's good with investigations, just not this one. The other thing is, they talk about it might be partisan and all that kind of thing. I did a little homework this morning. You know how many investigations there were of Benghazi? 10. And the last one didn't wind up until December 12th, 2016, 1 month after the presidential election. Talk about partisan use of investigations. I mean, that was the paradigm, example. And yet what we're talking about here, they've got to be done by the end of this year. It's a bipartisan, evenly divided bipartisan commission. They took all the suggestions that the Republicans in the House made to make this a fair process, to just get at the facts. of this very serious matter. This wasn't just a bunch of a mob that hit the Capitol. It hit the Capitol on the day that we were voting to certify the presidential election. Their avowed purpose was to stop the counting of electoral votes. That's about as serious as you can get in terms of an attack on our country.
What do you think they're hiding?
That's a really good question. Well, I don't think, I think one thing that's very clear is that Mr. McCarthy in the House doesn't want to be subpoenaed and have to answer questions about the phone call that he had with the president the day of the insurrection, where allegedly from people he talked to, he was pleading for help, and the president made some crack about, well, I guess, you know, you don't care as much about the election as my friends here do, or something to that effect. I think he doesn't want to answer those questions because he was, and again, you guys have the tape, but go back to that night and you see people like Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and McCarthy all saying, you know, this is terrible. The president has a responsibility. You know, this was an attack. And all of a sudden, that's all gone now. And it's all about this guy in Mar-a-Lago saying jump, and these folks are saying how high. It's pretty disappointing. And again, what are they afraid of? I think they're afraid of maybe there were some involvement of some of their members with the insurrectionists the day before. I don't really know. I mean, that's why you have an investigation. And it may be that there was no engagement, but clearly they just want to treat this as a minor problem. But, you know, we're talking about the oath that we all take is to protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. That word is in there for a reason. And we're talking about domestic enemies of the Constitution in this case. But my friends don't want to take the chance to even get at the facts, which is, you know, and as you imply, if people are moving heaven and earth to not look at the facts, then the implication is there's something there they don't want you to find out.
It sure is. Senator Angus King, thank you so much for spending some time with us today ahead of that vote. We're grateful. We will be right back.
Always a pleasure. Thanks.